Hello, mabuhay! I am Assistant Professor Micah Ramirez, and on behalf of my co-author, Engineer Princess Rojas, I will be presenting our study, Ergonomic Risk Assessment of the Production Process of Company X, Calamba City, Laguna, Philippines. As per the request of the owners, we use a code to represent the company name. Company X is a family-owned business which produces kakanin products supplied to cafeterias of many industrial companies in Laguna, Philippines. Kakanin is a general term that refers to native Filipino delicacies commonly made from glutinous rice, milk, and sugar, and is usually consumed during breakfast or for snacks. The products shown on this page are the regularly produced kakanin, which are the cassava cake, a dense cake with condensed milk and a custard layer on top, empanada, a turnover consisting of pastry and filling, fresh lumpia, a spring roll stuffed with fresh vegetables, and kuchinta and pichi-pichi, which are rice cakes with additional grated cassava ingredient for the latter. These two products are produced alternately daily. The production process of these revenue driver products and the workers assigned to them are the subject of the study. A general background of the study: daily production volume is about 7,300 pieces of various types of kakanin. The company also have a night shift production starting at 2 in the afternoon up to 6 in the morning the next day. So this is to ensure that the quality of products delivered early in the morning are fresh. The company employs a traditional method of making kakanin, which are characterized as highly manual. According to a preliminary survey, 17 out of 18 workers reported that they experienced muscle pain in various parts of their body after their shift. The company also recorded in November 2019 an average of only 64.16% of the workforce present per workday due to sickness and reports of overfatigue. With all this as backdrop, the proponents evaluated and assessed the risk associated to ergonomic standards experienced by the workers. So why and what is ergonomic risk assessment? This helps protect the employees, create a safe working environment, and increase the productivity level among workers. So by identifying ergonomic stressors that are linked with the development of work-related musculoskeletal disorders. It does not necessarily require the use of advanced tools or techniques, but can uncover underlying exposure to risk, similar to what Maligaya et al. In 2017 found on their study on the working condition of checkout counter cashiers in a grocery store in the Philippines, which apparently are exposed to high risk of developing MSTs. Common work-related musculoskeletal disorders, or WMSTs in short, include lower back pain, carpal tunnel syndrome, the Quervain tenosynovitis, and trigger finger. These are also referred to as cumulative trauma disorders, or CTDs, repetitive strain injuries, or RSI. The symptoms of these injuries can be mild at first but increases in severity depending on the level of exposure. As highly manual work in the Philippines is common, the Philippine Statistics Authority in 2018 recorded a significant increase of 58.5% of WMSTs from 2013 to 2015. To assess the ergonomic risks, three primary methods of analysis were conducted. So first is macroergonomics, which aims to design the interaction between workers and the work system by analyzing the work elements and the operation cycles of manual work. Second is rapid upper limb assessment, or RULA, a quantitative observational postural intended method for estimating the risk of work-related upper limb disorders. It gives an instant and systematic assessment of the postural risk to a worker and categorizes it in four levels, namely negligible risk, low risk, medium risk, and very high risk. Third and the last technique is micromotion study, or simply motion study, which is used for studying operations involving hand motion by using a camera and a timing device to scrutinize the elements, specifically identifying effective and ineffective hand motions. Overall, macroergonomics looks at the general work system and serves as a springboard for identifying postures, sustained, and potential risks. Applying a RULA then quantifies the risk and identifies whether the worker is exposed to negligible, low, medium, or very high risk. Lastly, micromotion study takes the study further by analyzing the elements contributing to the awkward postures to identify specific recommendations for reducing risk to injuries. These techniques were implemented by analyzing video recordings of the operations in a span of 7 working days, with a minimum of 15 cycles and a maximum of 105 cycles of operations per product. So this slide shows the Rula worksheet, which is designed for ease of use without the need for expensive ergonomic equipment. So it uses a worksheet where a score is assigned for each of the different body regions. So it is divided into two body segment sections. The first covers the arms and the wrist, while the second covers the neck, trunk, and legs. So kakanin making is categorized under light work, which is defined as a work where no more than 20 pounds are frequently lifted at a time, with no carrying of objects up to 10 pounds requiring walking or standing. Observation of the processes show that most workers perform their tasks on a standing position. So this is since the work requires accessing parts of the work table beyond the normal work area when seated. So referring to this table, the actual work table height used by the workers are about 9 to 12 inches short of the standard of 33 to 43 inches recommended by the Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety. So this results in awkward postures for the back and neck among workers. So additionally, for the parts of the cycle where a worker can perform tasks on a seated position, the workstation does not permit comfortable work on a seated position due to the small gap between the table and the chair, as seen on the figure below. So additionally, kakanin making results in overextension of arms and upper body forward to utilize the whole width of the work area. Referring to the table of values, so the forward arm reach of a Filipino male is 30 inches and 27 inches for a Filipino female, while the table width is about 40 inches on the average. So the difference of about 10 to 13 inches leads to the tendency of assuming an awkward posture for the workers. Moreover, accessing the entire length of the work table requires the worker to perform sidestep motions. So overall, a typical work cycle results in awkward postures and prolonged standing, which exposes the worker to health problems such as general muscular fatigue, sore feet, swelling of the legs, and lower back pain, among others. So the results of WMSD risk and exposure analysis, specifically identifying the various parts of the body experiencing pain, as reported and verified by the workers themselves, is presented on this table, including the equivalent potential risks and injuries. It can be noticed that all workers reported that they experienced back pain during the production process. So this is actually a common phenomenon as reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority in 2015, which states that back pain is the most common type of occupational disease in the Philippines since 2011. So for the application of RULA, the work processes and awkward postures were identified for evaluation using the following criteria. First, the most difficult postures and work tasks. Second, the posture sustained for the longest period. And third, the posture where the highest force loads occur. For the next few slides, the RULA and motion study results of each kakanin work process will be presented. So recall from the table on the previous slide, for the fresh lumpia, so the selected work process is the cooking and preparing of the wrapper. So these are associated with awkward postures of overbending and overreaching when arranging the wrapper, repetitive twisting of the wrist when pouring and shaping the mixture in the pan, and prolonged standing. Out of more than 100 frames randomly selected for analysis, 52% have a RULA score of 5 to 6. So this means that the process needs further analysis and should be changed soon before imposing serious threats to the worker's health. For the left hand and the right hand motion analysis, the elements are broken down into fundamental motions called therbligs, which are categorized as effective and ineffective, identified as E and I in the table respectively. So each element's percentage with respect to the cycle time were then calculated. For the fresh lumpia process, It can be noticed that for the right hand, majority of the cycle is spent doing effective motions, while the opposite is true for the left hand, with majority of the cycle spent for ineffective motions with hold as the highest contributor. So this prolonged holding time of the pan causes muscle fatigue and muscle spasm to the worker. So for the empanada, the selected work process is the actual assembly of the product. So this process is associated with awkward postures of slouching, abducted arm, and bent hands when closing and shaping the dough until it is sealed. Out of more than 100 frames randomly selected for analysis, 56% have a Rula score of 5 to 6. So similar to fresh lumpia work process, it needs further analysis and should be changed soon to prevent the development of WMSDs. For the motion analysis, the right hand performs purely or 100% effective elements, while the left hand spends more than half of the cycle time for ineffective motions, specifically holding the dough, and is an ineffective motion causing muscle strain to the worker. For the kuchinta and pichi-pichi, the selected work process is the removal of the product from the mold after cooking, which are associated with awkward postures of overreaching, bent hands, and prolonged standing. Out of more than 100 frames randomly selected for analysis, 73% have a Rula score of 5 to 6. So similar to the two products, the process needs further analysis and should be changed soon to prevent injuries. A similar trend is observed for the hand motions, with the right hand performing effective motions for majority of the cycle, while the left hand motions are mostly ineffective. So moreover, the left hand also spends a large percentage of the cycle holding the mold. So additionally, it sits idle for 20% of the cycle time. So lastly, for the cassava cake, the selected work process is the application of butter to the pan, which are associated with awkward postures of abducted arms, slouching, side bending, and prolonged standing. Note that the dedicated worker on this product is differently able, having no right hand. Out of about 40 frames randomly selected for analysis, 97% have a Rula score of at least 7. Among all the product processes studied, this process presents the highest risk to the worker and therefore must be changed immediately. For the analysis of motions, the right limb of the differently abled worker supports or holds the pan in place for majority of the cycle, while the left hand performs all effective motions. Based on the assessment conducted using Rula, all work processes and postures used in producing the regularly produced kakanin are above 5. So this suggests that the work processes of Company X should be subjected to further studies and be changed soon to ensure the safety and efficiency of the workers. So postural analysis uncovers that the workers are at risk of developing repetitive strain injuries due to prolonged exposure to awkward positions and highly repetitive motions to mass produce the products manually. Motion analysis further strengthens the need for intervention or change in the processes as the work element composition not only imposes risk but also consists of ineffective motions which do not advance work. It also revealed that there is an imbalance in effective and ineffective motions between the right hand and the left hand as measured by the percentage of time it consumes with respect to the cycle time. This demonstrates that the repetitive motions are concentrated on one hand, further increasing the risk to injuries. Conversely, the ineffective motion hold is the most apparent. Sustaining this motion for a prolonged period of time results in muscle strain and muscle spasm. Some immediate interventions to alleviate long-term injuries include the provision of additional break and in-between stretching activities. A systems approach which improves the overall work processes performed by the kakanin production workers and overall workforce capabilities and quality of life are preferred. Specific interventions that can be introduced include increasing the height of the work tables and providing an adjustable sit-stand stool to allow alternate sit and stand work postures, enabling dynamic work and comfortable seated work when applicable. So another recommendation is to redesign work methods to allow the use of both hands. So this can be accomplished by introducing a fixture or tool as support device to free one hand from holding. The work system can also be redesigned to avoid awkward postures such as overreaching and overextension of arms and upper body. So lastly, job rotation must be considered carefully, studying how it affects safety and performance. So that ends the presentation. Thank you very much for listening.